Hi folks, I'm Sean McCormick and welcome to the Lightroom blog channel. Today we're going to talk about how I lit this and a few other things for our Photo Friday episode. Hey folks, it's been a super busy week. I've had a load of client stuff on this week and I did one model shoot in the middle of the week as well to get some stuff that I wanted for tutorials and things like that. I did plan on doing some behind the scenes with them, but as it happened, it just didn't work out. It's something that I really have to incorporate into my shoot so that I can just do it as part of the flow, so that once I'm ready to shoot, that I have some videos up and rolling. I have a couple of action cams, and of course I can use the phone as well, but I just never get around to it. I even have the XT10 that I can do some 1080 video on, but it's a matter of actually remembering to do it. And sometimes I'm using the lens that, I want to use on that. Just have to incorporate it in. It might be just a matter of sticking a GoPro on top of my triggers or something like that and going from there with it. So anyway, I want to talk about a particular shot that I did this week. Now, because I have no behind the scenes footage, I can't show you any shots of it, but it's pretty straightforward, and let's actually build it up. So I'm going to show you, this is SciLights.com, and they have a lighting diagram editor. It's pretty straightforward for making lighting diagrams. So we were outdoors, and so we did have the sun to contend with, and so instead of overpowering the sun, although I have overpowered the sun with the shot, I actually used the shot as a backlight. So we had our subject in there, so let's throw in our subjects, people, woman, and you click on this and you drag, and so she was kind of facing that kind of direction there, and the sun was coming from this side. You can even see in the shot just the rim light here from the sun, and just along here the edges, so that's where the sun is actually lighting, and in the hair. And then the camera position was pretty much straightforward there. It's not a digital S-door, but we weren't using the medium format camera. So, and then our light was an octabox. To be precise, it was the 135 Elechrome. And I'll talk about the light I used in a second here. And I didn't grid it because I don't have a grid for that light. But it would have been roughly like that. Somewhere between straight and going on. The whole point is that we're trying to light in here, but we're lighting in such a way that we're creating this shadow line here. So it's kind of short lighting, which is a more dramatic lighting, a more interesting lighting. So even though we have the hand by the face here, because there's shadow in the hand, it's not as distracting to the face. We still go to the face rather than the hand. So that is lit with that. Okay. So now I'm just going to jump back to where you're looking at me for a minute. And the light I used for it was this, right, which is a Godox AD360. It's an older light, and they have newer versions with TTL now, and they obviously have the more powerful AD600, and they have a new version of that which looks absolutely fantastic. But I'm still using this. So this is the actual flash part. It's a 360 watt second flash, and then basically it connects to a battery pack, which weighs nothing. Now I do have the Quadras, and these weigh way less than a Quadra overall, and so I just find them a bit more convenient. And it's fully bare bulb as well. So let me just loosen this bit here. So you can see the bare bulb. That's the bare bulb. So I use that for a lot of location stuff where I need lots of power. Now, I could have possibly shot this using a filter, but I didn't because I didn't have one strong enough. I do have a filter that I will be talking about, an ND filter. I'm going to do something specifically on that, but I do have to actually go out and shoot that, and that'll be something that I have to do outside and video myself. I haven't done that in a while, so it's taken a bit longer than anticipated. One thing I will say about these particular lights, you just need to grab the cable. There's normally just a single cable goes, but you can get this splitter, and this splitter lets it fit into the two sections of the battery, and that lets the light recycle much faster. So I highly recommend it if you're getting those. I would of course use two AD200s, but at the time there was no, the 360 was the only option in that kind of power. So what I've done with this is I've used a thing called high speed sync. And high speed sync is a system whereby the camera allows you to go with the sync speed of the camera, which is 1/260th of a second, or 1/150th of a second in the case of the XT2, which is video in this. And for outdoors to shoot at shallow apertures like say f2.8 for example, as in this shot. Let me just have a look at the exact settings on it. So this was shot at f2.8 and shot at 1/8000th of a second. Now the base ISO is ISO 200, so that means that to get this look, f2.8 was kind of the shallowest that I could shoot. I was shooting it on the 56 1.2, which is a gorgeous lens. So I think I was. Yep, I was. I got that recently. Love it. Fantastic lens. In fact, I'm using it a ridiculous amount. So if I was to try and shoot this at 1/250th of a second, I'd probably be getting something like f11 or f16. And that would mean that everything would be completely in focus. And I don't want that. I actually want this shallow look. I want the background to go out of focus because that helps draw attention on your subject. So to do that, you need a high-speed sync. So high-speed sync works by pulsing a series of flashes. So the sync speed is basically when the entire frame is exposed in one go. Above the sync speed, it's not. What happens is you have two shutter curtains. So basically what happens is in a normal one, that happens whole frame and then the shutter comes up. Okay, and that's the shot. But when you have above the sync speed, it starts to open, and as it's going, the second shutter moves at the same time and then they close. So that means that the whole frame is not exposed at the same time. So when you fire a flash, the flash only appears in a small part of the frame. So what high speed sync does is it flashes repeatedly in a very short space of time during the exposure. That way, as each part of the frame is going, each part of the frame is getting exposed. So that's what high speed sync is. Now it does take a lot of power. But I found using the Godok setup that it doesn't take as much power as other systems do. So I'm quite pleased with it. So anyway, back to the photograph itself. So what I've done here is I've taken the shot here and I've just got that. But I'm just going to show you what's going on in terms of the setup. So that was the final shot. But we started off here. And I will, if I just bring up the information here so we can see what's going on. So I'm starting to set it up here. And I can see that f1.4 at 1/4000 of a second, that, well, you know, it's actually very, very, very bright. And so the next one here, I go to 8000 and it's actually not bad. So, but this is just the light itself now. So now I'm at f2 because I want to darken down the background. I want to get a small bit of detail in the sky. So I'm just going through these here, trying different things to get to where I'm happy. I haven't even really used the light yet. Okay, so there is where I've started to use the light, and you can see the difference here because, I'm not using Opal right now. Make sure you check out my Opal video. There's a discount till the end of the week. Now, so you can see here, this is what it looks like without my light, and this is what it looks like with the light. Now, I think I had this set up at like 1/4 power or a half power just to start with. And so now I'm looking here and I'm thinking to myself, you know, that's all fine, but the sky is completely blown out, so I want some sky detail back. Now, because I have changed the aperture, my shutter power, or my power isn't enough on the actual, I think it was at 1/8 actually. So I have to bump up the power. So that's me bumping up the power. And of course the recycle time isn't quite as fast as I want, so that's happening there. So that's just working into it as well. And so we have a little bit of squinting going on. And I liked this in it, but I didn't feel that I was making use of the building, so I actually got Catherine to move back a little bit. So here's some shots. You can actually see the edge of the octa in the shot there. And so now we have basically worked and got to the actual shot itself. So that's the shot itself. And then that's the edited version of the shot where I've gone in and done a little bit of work on the skin and things like that. So as you can see, I've just built up, and literally that was the final shot. And I was just straight away going, yep, I'm happy. That's the shot I want. And I knew it was what I was looking for. I even love this little bit of hair floating off here. And so I've left that in because I actually like that, because it would be very easy to clone it out. So the whole point of high-speed sync is that it allows you to get this shallow depth of field. And again, because this is shot at f2.8, I could have potentially used other lenses, except, you know, the 56 1.6 wasn't, or 1.2 wasn't essential. However, it's a super beautifully sharp lens, and I really, really, really like it. Okay, so that is how I lit this, and I love it. And for outdoor stuff, I do love using the sun and then having a light against it. Now, we're not trying to overpower it, but we're definitely trying to balance it. When I look at this, my first reaction to this is not that it looks lit, and that's really what I want. I don't want it to look like it's all about super underexposing the background. One other thing about high-speed sync is that when you're using flash normally, non-high-speed sync stuff, you change the aperture and it will change the apparent shutter power. And if you change the shutter speed, it makes no difference whatsoever. All right? But when you use high-speed sync, changing the shutter speed does affect the power. So you do need to be aware of that. That's all. So if you change from 1/4000 to 1/8000, you're halving the power of your flash as well when you're using high-speed sync. So a couple of other things that are happening as well. I have obviously started to create new stuff in After Effects. So I'm actually playing with After Effects and having a bit of fun learning how to do After Effects. So I am going to show you what is potentially going to be my new intro. Okay, so instead of just a boring, you know, like blog bit of music, I've done something a little bit longer with more photographs in it. So please let me know in the comments what you think of it. Okay, so here it is now. So folks, there we go. That's the new one now. I'm happy. Yes, I wrote the music. I know it's very kind of Benga Boys, but you know, there we go. It was just what I got inspired to do at the time, and that's what it is. Is it amazing? No, it's not, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I may change that again as well. So folks, if you like what's going on the channel, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed and you want to get notified of new videos, hit the bell. Folks, thanks for taking time to have watched this video, and I will see you in the next one.